Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Sharp, the mama,
Andrew Lang, the Bachelor.
Aaron Leduc, the dad.
and we appreciate you being here today. So today, let's dive right into it's getting cool here in the Michigan, southeastern Michigan area. We're almost to October, which seems crazy, and it has Aaron thinking of Thanksgiving desserts. So, Aaron, lead us off with what your favorite
I was
dessert.
gonna say, so if you listen to our last episode, we talked about how some of us love Halloween and some of us are godless monsters and think Christmas is
AJ.
cooler. And we kind of talked about so again, I'm not a fan of ham, not a fan of turkey, but I do like desserts. So I was curious, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
You
Try to-
lead, Aaron. You lead. You always have to
I-
go last. You go first today.
I like pumpkin pie, but I'm also, as I age, a big fan of pecan pie. Or pecan pie, how do you pronounce it?
Pecan.
On.
See, I think AJ says it correctly. I say pecan, and why would anyone call it a pecan? So I think pecan is more
The
appropriate.
southern thing?
I think it sounds better. Pecan.
Pecan.
It does.
Pardon
It
me,
sounds
sir.
much more fitting for the type of pie it is. I like that pie, but I can literally only eat like a tiny slice of pecan pie.
It's pretty sweet.
It's very rich. It's very like heavy feeling. So I enjoy it a lot because pecans, I'm trying not to say pecans, are like my favorite nut. So I do really, really like it. And I do like pumpkin pie too. I used to hate it because I didn't eat it. I didn't know that I liked it.
Are you a Cool Whip or Ready Whip or just straight up pumpkin pie?
I have more Cool Whip / Ready Whip than pie. If you can see your pumpkin, you don't have enough.
Doing it wrong?
You're doing it wrong.
Now, do you like Cool Whip or Ready Whip? And then we'll circle you in.
So growing up, we only had Cool Whip out of the tub. So there's something super satisfying about the sound, and like you can make like the tower. So every time I do it, that's how I ended up with so much. Like I see how high I can get it before it collapses, and then I fill in the other area.
Like, save some for the rest of us, Amanda.
I don't. And when I'd be lying if I didn't say I totally just put it in my mouth. Like I get my own can. There's no
That's
other
you.
reason to have it in that can if it's not to go in your mouth.
William knows, and he's like a little bird when I'm doing it.
Oh,
And I was saying, like,
see, that's an experience. That's a memory. Like I didn't have that growing up, but William has it. So I'm like soothing myself with the.
I will eat Cool Whip out of the tub, though.
It's good.
Yeah,
I don't really discriminate against it. I like the satisfaction of the for some reason.
AJ. Favorite
Yeah.
dessert.
So I like I like pumpkin pie as well. It's probably my favorite pie. But I also like key lime pie or like the chocolate pies, you know? I don't know.
Sure. Like
But
this
I lean more towards the pumpkin pie. We always get the tub of Cool Whip or Cool whatever it's called.
Cool Whip.
group.
But I love the cans, and I agree. I always spray it in my mouth. Like I spray it in my mouth and spray it on my.
You're not a human if you don't.
I think that's
Exactly.
fair to say. And anyone who says they don't do it, I think they're lying.
They do it when no one's
Put a
looking.
poll up. We should put a poll up to see who.
I will.
people-
That'll be one of our questions. Let me write that down because I'll put that in the header. Cool Whip
Let's see.
or God bless you. So I guess I didn't answer my dessert. I just answered if I liked your desserts, Aaron.
That's all I care about. What's your favorite?
I don't know. My identity is always what Marcus ends up liking. Isn't we've talked about this before? But
Salt and vinegar chips all over.
I know.
Is there a dessert you don't like?
Oh no. I had to think for a second. I was like, no, I truly. Now, there are desserts I stay away from because I know they'll upset my stomach or something like that. Or they'll give me a headache because they're too sweet or something. Like, I love ice cream, but I can't eat it because it upsets my stomach.
Have you tried any like the lactose-free ice cream?
I haven't. It's more expensive, and I don't love it that much.
So
Stuff like to pay extra or to suffer from it. But like I love soft serve ice cream so much. But that it kills me. We talked about Taco Bell killing me last week. Like soft serve will do me in.
how about you, AJ? What dessert do you
Yeah, I gotta go with my favorite dessert would probably be ice cream, but it would be vanilla ice cream. And what I do is I take cinnamon and I put some cinnamon on top of it, and then I take Hershey's chocolate syrup and I put it on the top. And once I look at it, because it's all beautiful, and I stare at it for a little bit, I mix it all together so it's soft serve.
Yes. Owen says, Mom, why do you let your ice cream melt? And I go, because it hurts my teeth if it doesn't. I make my regular ice cream turn into more of soft serve when I do.
Ice cream soup.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what don't you like, AJ? What's your least favorite?
My least favorite, I'd probably go with cheesecake.
You really think you know something?
25th of September. Today, remember his last episode with the show.
He's young still, everyone who's listening. No.
You know, his taste could change. His taste could change.
Cheesecake, I think it's safe to say cheesecake is my absolute favorite dessert. But that's not something like you eat at Thanksgiving necessarily. Like it's not it should be, yeah. But it's not like that Thanksgiving dessert when you think. Did you guys hear that there's like a pumpkin shortage? Like in the stores? Like people, like if you can find some canned pumpkin, get it. Otherwise you might not have pumpkin pies for Thanksgiving.
We never make our pumpkin pies from scratch.
But you might not even be able to find a pumpkin pie. So if you can find a can of pumpkin, I just single-handedly caused mass chaos in the world by saying that.
Buy all the pumpkins now.
No, I swear.
Hoard it like toilet paper.
I'm gonna Google it right now and say, is there a pump?
I'm on Amazon right now buying a pallet's worth.
I know. It's gonna be like the sanitizer of the spring.
The sanitizer of the spring.
Oh, there was just a. So one of the first things that pop up is allrecipes.com says, fact check, is there a shortage of canned pumpkin this year? September 16th, so very recently. No.
There is now.
I swear I heard it on television, or I don't remember when. I swear.
Well, it's kind of like, who do you believe? The news or these bloggers, you know?
That's true. That's true. Well, I mean, I think it's safe to say there could be now a pumpkin shortage.
We'll know our reach.
Yeah, I got myself a can just in case. Actually, I bought it because it was one of the few things that was in the store at one point. Believe it or not, when the shelves were empty with nothing else, I was like, oh, pumpkin. If it gets real bad, we can eat it. I mean, do you remember like that first time going to the grocery store after?
I wish I took videos and pictures.
Yeah.
I did not document it like I should have.
That's something like I will for sure tell my kids and be like, I remember one day going to the grocery store and there not being food in American grocery store. I never thought I'd see that in my life.
It just was so, to think that you might not be able to feed your child. I never care about me. My first thought always goes to like, oh my gosh, what if Owen goes hungry? Like, I got some meat on my bones. I can starve for a little bit. I mean, and what really hit me hard was we had just listened to, not just, but probably say February, beginning of February, end of January, a Holocaust survivor went to the Ida Library, and Owen got extra credit if he went and listened to her story. She had written a book, and I haven't read it because I just don't think I'm ready to read it. Like certain things, like I can't forget, and like to think of her stories were terrible enough. And one of the things she talked about was their mom made grass soup because that's all there was to like eat, and at least the water like gave temporary relief of the hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all I could think was, it's still winter. I can't make grass soup. Like my yard has dogs, so it's full of you know what. And I'm like, I guess I can go to the front yard. And like I was just really like, as that mom, like you just can't even imagine like to not be able to feed your child. Not because there's not programs or this or that or this. It's just like the shelves were literally empty. Even if there was programs that you could get stuff with, you couldn't get anything because there was nothing to buy. Oh, I can't hear you, Aaron. I see
Right.
your lips moving.
I
Okay.
was just saying, it's just crazy. People went nuts hoarding toilet paper and paper towels and.
Why toilet paper? If you don't have food, you're not going to the bathroom.
Well, and if I'd rather have food than toilet paper.
I'd use towels, leaves. Like there's other things that
Shower. There's options.
That's what Marcus said. He goes, Amanda, if we just have to shower, like it's not the end of the world. I was like, until we don't have water. No. You just didn't know how bad it was going to get. And we have well water, so in theory, we should always have it. But it was weird. It was so weird, the people hoarding stuff. And you still, like, the cleaning aisle is still completely bare.
Oh, I know.
And I just don't get it. I really can't understand how we haven't caught back up. And I'm sure someone's going to be able to say, it's logistics, Amanda. And plastic had to go to this and that and this and that. So I get that, but still, like, we're like 7 months in, right?
Waiting for people, like, it's the election. As soon as this election's over, it's going to just fade out and go back to normal.
I am praying to God that that's what happens.
That's what happens. I'll be so happy I don't have to wear a mask anymore.
I won't even be mad about it. I'll go, oh, I can breathe. I don't have to wear a mask anymore. Like literally can breathe. And now that the whole Supreme Court thing right now, like we're hearing more about that, which I don't care what side you're on. Like that's the focus right now. And so I feel like we're not hearing as much about COVID right now. I'm just COVID overkilled. Like I'm so tired of hearing that word. I should journal more about it. I haven't wrote anything down. Have you guys?
I think I've written something down in my journal just to like, I think I wrote like grocery stores are empty. There's mass panic. I think we're all going to die. I think that's what I wrote down in my journal. I'm not even going to lie to you.
And then his next entry, everything's great.
Well, so I'm not comparing this to like the whole like concentration camps or anything like that. But think like the journaling, like when Anne Frank basically wrote her journal, like she probably had no clue that it would become this history icon, so you just never read it? What?
I was going to ask, did you have to read that in school, the Diary of Anne Frank?
No, but when I was in DC, we went to the Holocaust Museum in DC. You want to talk about a feeling. You walk in there and it's just like, it's just like
heavy
feeling. And like walking through everything, like they had shoes, like all the different shoes just like scattered throughout the whole place. And
millions. I don't think I could go in there.
It was very sad.
I want to, but I truly feel like I know and fully am aware of the devastation that there was. So I don't need to see like even more reminders and like faces to that. Like it would darn near break me. Like those were people's children.
Those are just other human beings, It's like, how can you do that to other people? I don't get that.
At the time, there were a lot of people who thought that was okay, which is really mind-blowing to me.
It's kind of scary to show like how one person can change the view of a whole country. It really makes you think, but
it'd be so scary of a figure that whether you believed in it or not, you just followed suit because you didn't want to die or have your family killed.
And I'm not gonna lie, Hitler did bring back Germany a little bit before he started World War II, because before that's how he got his power.
You mean economically?
Economically, yeah. He got his power. He was voted in. He followed the system up. He just, once he was there, took over the system.
So sad. So sad. Okay, let's talk about something happier. TikToks.
Dark turn.
Dark turn. No, what's funny is, it's not funny, but the TikToks are, I've seen a couple where they're like, hey mom, we learned about the year 2020 in school, like this is like in 2050, say, or whatever. And like, what were you doing, when you, during that year? And they go into like a TikTok dance. Like,
Aaron, I thought you
yeah.
disappeared there for a minute.
His head totally disappeared. Yep. And it was gone. And I thought that was just super funny because really, like, that's how a lot of people got through. Like, we stayed social, we stayed connected in ways that wouldn't have otherwise been available. So it is kind of embarrassing to be like, yep, that's how we made it through a pandemic.
And there's a record of it.
There's a record.
Yes.
Like, it's on the internet. Like,
Correct.
they're going to read in school, like, wow, that was so hard. And then they're going to, like, look
Like,
up and their parents. I'm posting about Tiger King eating chips.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so bad, but our conversations were, what's your favorite chip?
Honestly.
It's
And great, not to like downplay the deaths and all that, but like it was kind of an enjoyable time.
I'm not even gonna lie, I was talking to my buddy the other day. I was like, you know what? I'd go back to lockdown. There was a lot of personal time to sit there and think and reflect on myself. I liked lockdowns. I'm not even gonna
I
lie.
spent a lot of time with the family.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes that was good or bad for some people.
Depends on the family.
Depending on the family. But I do think it made people or broke people. And I do feel bad for the people that it kind of broke because who knows how long it'll take to recover from that. Because there's a lot of lonely people. Like I am super social, and had we not been able to stay in touch, and because it was, say, 1990 and there was only landlines and there weren't really cell phone, none of this that we're able to do. Like I don't know what I'd have done. I wouldn't be making it through like I am now. And Owen truly is oblivious. He understands the world is a little different right now, but I've kind of just not really talked a whole lot about it. I'm like, all you need to know is you've lived through a pandemic. Fake one or real one, we don't know, but you're living through a pandemic. We'll see the final figures in a few years and we'll be able to know. So AJ, I have on my list to talk to you about your car and how you worked on it and how, like, I was so proud of you.
Yeah, so was I. Did Aaron tell you about my experience though?
Just because I felt so guilty that I had.
Our viewers haven't heard the story though, so please take it away.
So my bearings were bad in my car. So I decided, you know what, instead of taking it to the shop and paying to have them fix it, I'll do it myself. I kind of know what to do, and I have I think it's called the Hangley's book or Hang's book on my car. So it tells me like how to tear apart my car. And I followed that. Like I'd read that a couple of times.
Sure.
So, we took out the hubs, replaced the bearing hubs and everything, and went away without a hitch. Sounds good now. And I was actually driving to a showing. And, I get to the showing. I show the house, and on my way home, I start up my car just to leave, and then all these lights go off my car, and then it starts beeping at me.
AJ, who sent you on that showing?
Not important. It's a team effort.
It definitely wasn't Aaron.
Totally making a joke, but being serious now.
So, my car was beeping at me, like warning, like beep, 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 as I was driving. And I spent like a few times turning off my car, trying to fix it. Like it had to do with something with the brakes. So I wasn't sure if like my brakes were dragging or if I just...
A very important component of any automobile.
Important. Extremely important.
I really don't. It wouldn't and it said that my emergency brake was engaged, but it wouldn't let me release my emergency brake. Now my emergency brake is just a button.
Okay.
And it wouldn't let me release it or engage it. And I didn't even hear it click on. So I'm calling Aaron up, and Aaron's just hearing ding, ding, ding.
Are you on a railroad track right now? Like, what is happening?
No, that was just the sound my car was making. I mean, I had lights flashing at me. It was horrible. I was so scared. I didn't know if I was going to make it home. I thought I was going to have to tow my car.
I offered to come get you, but you sounded so nonchalant. Like I'm relieved to hear you say that you were scared, but like you were like, I'm just driving home. We're fine. This is fine.
I might not have brakes at the moment, but there.
That was
I'm going to come get you or follow you.
That is
That
what
was-
20-year-olds say.
Call a tow truck. Like, I'm not towing it.
I'm like, I'm not towing it. I'm not
That's
paying for it.
funny.
His exact words, I'm not towing my car.
Well, he had just fixed his car, so he felt very empowered. He's like, if it's breaking down on the side of the road, I'm pulling it home. That's how like confident he was feeling.
I was kind of upset that it wasn't working. So the worst part is, I get home, I call my mom, like, Mom, you need to get out of the garage. My car's not working right. I don't know what's wrong.
Back it up, Mama.
As soon as I get home, I'm putting it in the garage. So she's like, okay. So I get home, I turn the car off, I turn the car back on, and it stops. The parking brakes engage and disengage. And I'm like,
Just had to drive it for a while.
right.
Gotta read that a
turns
little.
it turns out I didn't plug in my driver's side rear emergency, or it's actually the parking brake, and it's all electronic, and I forgot to plug that in all the way. So
It could have been worse. Literally could have been worse.
could have been worse.
That is awesome of you that you're able to do that. But like, that's gonna be so frustrating. All the electronic components to the vehicle. Whereas back in the day when you didn't have all that, you would have been right as rain. It just seems to make everything more complicated just because we want an extra sensor or extra light.
And I do think, like, I love hearing you like dive into your car again. I think that's such a cool, empowering thing for anyone to do, but especially guys. But I agree with you, Aaron. Like, the minute they made everything so sensorized, I don't know if that's a word, but I used it. Like, I think people just don't want to use it because you're going to forget to reset something, forget to plug something in. So it's just easier to take it in. And if they break it, they break it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have auto shop in high school, AJ, or what's your auto shop like experience? 'Cause I was really impressed that you were like, I got this.
I agree.
So I have a buddy, I think I've told you about him, Aaron. I help him fix his car every now and then. He's taught me a lot about cars. Like, I've done so much with his car, trying to he's got I think it's a 97 Bronco.
Okay.
Good year.
Yeah. It's white too. So it is like literally
Reference to our other podcast episode on why that white Bronco was talked about.
but I've helped him fix that car, and I've helped him fix other cars, and that's kind of helped me realize that fixing cars is not that hard, like especially engine work. An engine only needs 3 things to run, and that is compression, air, and fuel. If you have those 3 things, you have a running engine. Now it's just figuring out which one of those things you aren't getting. Same with like my car, like looking at the hubs, I just knew that, okay, I had to take off the wheel, the rotor, and the caliper to get the hub off. And then it was just plug and play. Like, the hub doesn't just slide off. It took a lot to get that hub off because it was so rusted on. But the new one just slid right on, and I don't know why I wasn't scared. Because normally I get a little kind of scared when I'm working on my own car, because that's my only car, my daily driver.
For
and
sure.
it up, but I felt really empowered though after I did it. I was like, man, I feel like I could fix anything now.
Well, and that's why.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's why I think it's really important, and it makes me sad that like if auto shop is not in there, wood shop is not in schools anymore, because like your friend taught you, like that was the role of that wood shop or auto shop teacher. There was somebody to teach you and kind of explain to you it's not that scary. You just need to know what you're doing, but like it's not breakable. It might be delayed. I didn't hear that last part. You paused a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, I said it's fixable too. So like, say I broke a knuckle getting the hub off. Okay, I just had to replace a $100 knuckle. So what? I had to spend a little bit more money, but at least it's fixed,
And that's I really wish that there was like home economics still. All of these
life skills.
Yes, I would much, because now they have like life skills class, but it doesn't. No offense to life skills teachers or anything. It is not a replacement for true life skills, hands-on stuff that can save people money.
Learning how to sew. My buddy, he put a patch in his pants, and it was the sew line was literally like it was so bad. And he's like, I'm gonna have my grandma fix it. And I was like, actually, why don't you have your grandma show you how to sew?
Yes.
So you know.
Burn.
That's like, what is it? Teach a man to fish and he'll never be hungry for the rest of his life type concept.
Well, that's exactly the word. That's the phrase that I told him.
It's a good phrase. I remember I had sewing class, but I'm ancient. And there was a guy that was in it as well. And he now has a shop that he designs like these amazing dresses. Amazing, like not like normal dresses, like these amazingly like neat, like they're pieces of art. And I think to myself, like, I'm going, if he didn't have the opportunity to take sewing class, would that skill have ever been known, would that passion be known? So it's super frustrating that that's just not a focus. But daggone it, Jim is.
Beauty of YouTube. It's safe. Now, did you use YouTube at all to help with your car repair?
Yes. So we did have a lot of struggles. The wheels wouldn't come off, the rims wouldn't come off. So I literally had to take a sledgehammer to the back of my tire to get it off. That's how stuck on my tire was. I don't know why it was so rusted on, but it was. But other than that, I Googled on how to, like, the best way to get the hub out because we were struggling with that. Mm-hmm. It was just so rusted on. But honestly, you can learn anything off YouTube. And
it's an amazing
looking back, I'm coming on almost 2 years out of high school. At the end of this year, it'll be 2 years. But I've learned more about life and just how to live and be a productive member of society the year I've gotten out of high school than I ever did in school. And I think that is super sad to say. And that's not my teachers didn't fail me. That's just the school system itself.
I was just going to say, I think we're in a really interesting time for schools. And I don't know what school will look like in 5 years, because I think this has exposed this pandemic has exposed flaws in schools that have existed for a long time, but just no one's addressed them. Because I just think the traditional school is just not 100% fit for the kids that are now going through that school system.
Mm-hmm.
Like virtual right now is the best thing I think that could ever happen to Owen. And it's crazy that I'm saying that because you all know I was drowning in the spring, but that was something that was thrown together. So why would you not feel like you were being,
right,
suffocated or getting drowned? Where what he's using now is as it has been like basically a school, online school, virtual school for years. So they have it down to a science. And so for him not to deal with, he doesn't even get to see his teacher's face, and he's totally okay with that. He doesn't have to hear their voice, like, because he hates school. So it's just computer, computer. It's not personal. It's nothing. It's just an objective. Like, let's cross it off. Let's highlight it and say we're done with it. So do you think you would have did well in a virtual school setting, AJ?
No, I took senior year. I did have a social media class that was online, and I didn't finish it. Like I did enough of it so I'd get a good grade in it, but there was like other assignments I still had to do, but I was like, I'm fine with a B+.
Oh, well, B+ is still good. Aaron, did you like school?
I did, and I guess, in the school's defense is you've got all these different kids, and they all learn differently. They all have different skill sets. So, like, in their defense, they kind of have to cast kind of a wide net to encompass everyone, which is the flaw. I mean, everyone would do better with, the best teachers that you had were always the ones that you were kind of the clones of. You know what I mean? Like, I learned from the best from people who taught like I taught, or I would teach someone to do something, because that was my style and it fit.
Right.
But then I had some teachers that were great teachers, but just I didn't learn them.
Mm-hmm.
I was so afraid of getting bad grades that I would have like excelled if it was at home or.
Mm-hmm. So no matter what your circumstance, you would have did fine.
I think so, and like I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and I'm like, man, I really wasted a lot of time on homework and stuff, and doing these assignments that like I have served me nothing, and I could use that time to, even if it was just recreational at that age.
Wyatt and Macy, if you're listening, that does not mean and give you the permission to not finish school, my sweet babies.
Macy's got on lockdown. She's like, the only thing that I think negatively impacted her with this is she was supposed to be like in the advanced math. I think she was going to go to high school for it, even though she's in middle school. And now she's not able to do that. So I feel that like not challenged in math.
And those are the things that are kind of bothering me. And that's where I go, if I think this has caused schools to at least reevaluate and be able to give certain things to certain students that they wouldn't have been able to otherwise offer to students who learn differently or hate school. You know, I think the traditional classroom is super important for certain kids. I think now that we know there's a true virtual option that we can even enhance more, make sure people really feel like they can take advantage of that without being labeled like the homeschool kid.
Right.
Because there was that stigma when we were growing up, Aaron.
Oh, God, yeah.
If you were homeschooled, like you were destined to be a weirdo as an adult.
You're a weirdo.
I mean, 1,000%. And I would say the last 5 years, the tone of homeschooling has changed.
I would totally homeschool my kids. Like, I don't want to send my kids to a public school.
So you have kids.
I wanted to homeschool Owen, and Marcus said no. And I do think during Owen's beginning years, it was important because you know how I am with him. Like, he doesn't get disciplined. I mean, you want the world, I'll give it to you, sweet baby of mine. Like, that's just how I am. So if he said, I don't want to write A's, I'd be like, okay, so let's move on to B's. Like, and that's not realistic. So now, like, I can actually benefit from the labor that his past amazing teachers have committed to him, even though he hated every second of it. He still learned, and they got him to where the handoff to me is not so hard because he knows how to read, he knows how to write, he knows how to do science, and he knows how to do math. It's just enhancing those skills. So I wouldn't have been able to get him to this point without those serious teachers. But now I think it's very interesting to do it. Like, we're doing his math assignment together because I realized how dumb I really was.
I hated math.
I hated it.
What math is it?
How did I passed with solid B's, like, and A's. I did not earn those. How did I get those?
That was me. Honestly, I don't know how I passed school with the grades that I did. 'Cause I never did homework. I just, like, I did all my work in school. So I didn't have to do homework because I'd rather just go hang out with my friends after school, go do this, you know.
I'll never forget, I had a teacher, and this might explain how I passed. I forget the name of the class, but basically it was like anatomy or something, because we were learning about like the body, like bones and all of that. And like, is tibia the head? I don't know. And so he was giving me like the oral exam of like asking me questions, and I can't remember like why he was doing that way versus, I don't know if I was absent or whatever. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, it is your head. Good job. You got that one right. Just because I was so like, I don't know. And I touched my head, and he's like, bless her heart, she's crazy.
I feel that like, my Spanish teacher would do that to me all the time. I've got a really embarrassing story about Spanish class.
Me too. You go first.
So we were learning about like directions and navigating a city.
Got farther than I did.
I was in Spanish too. So we had to like explain something and like write down directions of the city. So I always used Google Translate because I could not speak Spanish. So I
didn't have that weird kid, but go on.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out, Aaron. You beat me to it.
You probably would have done Spanish too if you had Google Translate, man.
You got it.
So I typed in Google Translate something like something about blocks, right? So, I write down block ace, and I'm presenting in front of the class, and I said something maybe like 10 block ace away, and the teacher goes, my Spanish name was Andres, which is actually Andrew. I thought that was funny. She goes, Andres, what's block ace? We haven't learned that yet. And I'm like, it's blocks. She goes, well, how'd you learn that? And I was like, if I'm being honest with you, I use Google Translate. I can't speak this.
I feel like it's like
I don't think that's embarrassing.
Or whatever it is.
No, it was embarrassing because I was literally reading this out in front of the whole class. My directions in front of the whole class, and I said block A's, and the teacher called me out for using Google Translate.
She's been like, well, you're just such a good teacher that.
I, you did your assignment. And
Exactly.
that's why Google is around to help us out. Mine, so I don't know how I passed Spanish 1, barely passed it. I think I had to have a foreign language. I don't remember. So it wasn't, I think, an option, but I got past it. Why it would make me think I was okay enough to take Spanish 2? Come on. So I took it my senior year, which I did not need any credits basically. I needed like a part of an English credit to graduate. Like I had more than enough credits. So let's talk about like restructuring school. That is the biggest issue in my opinion. But back to my story. And so I just basically stopped going because if I could fail it and still graduate, what did I care? Like I really didn't care. And so Mrs. Gorlewski, it was the first hour of the class. And so I would just go on that day. I'd go to school like an hour and a half late. And my mom knew. She absolutely knew. And so the phone rang and I picked it up and she's like, Amanda? I'm like, yes. I'm like, Miss Gorlewski? She's like, why are you not in my class? I was like, because I don't want to take it anymore.
I can't take it. I can't take it. Espanol.
She was such a nice lady. And she's like, okay, I understand. She goes, can you at least bring back my book? So I was like, absolutely, I'll bring it tomorrow. And so the very next day, like first thing in the morning, I was like, here's your book back. Nice knowing ya. Like, I'll never see you again.
Adios.
That was the last time I went to Spanish 2. So of course I got an F. I mean, duh.
I do have to agree with you on that though, Amanda. I had to senior year take an English credit, which is, 2 half credits, and a math credit, which was a half credit, or maybe a full credit. I'm not too sure. So I only needed 2 credits to graduate, but I needed to be there for 6 hours every single day. I was so mad at the counselors. I was like, put me in a first hour math and a second hour English, and I can go do, because I wanted to start real estate while I was still in high school and have that be my first year. Because if I was only in school until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I could go
Absolutely.
my day.
Yep.
No, they couldn't do it, but now they can. After I fought for 2 years to get like a working permit where you can work with school, after my senior year, they did it.
Well, I will say I was allowed to do co-op, but I still had to it was still for school credit though. And I just think like, why do you still need school credit if you have all the credits you need? And my mom, when she was in high school, I mean, this was years ago, when you finished the credits needed, you were done. So she like graduated like halfway through her senior year. And so she understood and she remembered that. And so that's where she understood me as a student. So she never pushed me like to go beyond what made sense for me. And see, I'm doing fine. My mom's a good mom. My mom's a good mama. All right. Well, wow, that like spiraled down a rabbit hole that we went a little farther over, but that's okay. We do that all the time. Any last minute thoughts?
I don't have
Aaron was so quiet about the school. He's like, I don't really hate it, guys. Like, chill out.
It's all good. We all have our own school stories. No, I don't mean final thoughts. I think we're good.
AJ?
No.
I mean, I've got lots of thoughts, but you got to cut me off at some point. So on that note, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll put all of our information in the comments or in the description link. But AJ, what's your TikTok or anything that you want to share as far as your handles?
TikTok and Snapchat is AJLang13, and Instagram is Andrew_Lang_.
Aaron.
Aaron Leduc, realtor. There.
And yeah, he's across the board, and I'm either Amanda Sharp or Amanda Ann Sharp. I just don't know on which platforms, but that's why we'll link them. Thanks for
what our faces look like, people. You can find us.
Yeah, you see our faces, unless you're listening, and then you don't. But you can hear our voices.
And then go to YouTube and watch.
That's right.
Reactions.
Right, for sure.
And ring the notification bell, leave a comment. And
yes, all of that. All of that. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.